We're at AwesomeCon 2019. I'm with David Pepose. We're here to talk about Spencer Locke and Going to the Chapel. Spencer Locke 2 is out this Wednesday, May 1st. It's the sequel to, obviously, Spencer and Locke. Awesome series. If you haven't read it, go back, check it out. It's in trade. For those who don't know Spencer Locke, tell about it.
Sure. The easy elevator pitch for Spencer and Locke is, what if Calvin and Hobbes grew up in Sin City? It's about a hard-boiled cop whose partner is his childhood imaginary friend. So a little True Detective, a little Fight Club, 100% a love letter to classic Bill Watterson strips. And for Volume 2, we're taking the Fables approach. No comic strip is safe. We're doing hard-boiled Calvin and Hobbes versus hardcore Beetle Bailey with our new villain, Roach Riley, who's kind of our homicidal riff on Mort Walker's Beetle Bailey. Think of Heath Ledger's Joker if he had survived the events of the Deer Hunter, and you're coming pretty close to what we're doing in Spencer and Locke 2. We're really...
A little Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, a little Full Metal Jacket. It's a little Taxi Driver. It's a little Empire Strikes Back. It's our Dark Knight. I'm really excited for fans to see what we do. This is our big blockbuster follow-up to the first series, and nothing's going to be the same for these characters after this.
So the thing that really stood out to me, obviously the first volume was straight up Sin City, Calvin and Hobbes with a little bit of noir in it. Second one, you've got so many references. There's Dick Tracy. There's, as I said, Full Metal Jacket's in there. There's one scene that is a straight homage to Spider-Man. I'm not going to say what it is, but it is a famous image. So when putting this together, was this like you, the artist combination? Like clearly, there's a love of everything here.
I'm a nerd. I mean, it's one of those things. So the first Spencer and Locke was a bucket list comic for me. I didn't know if I was going to get to write another comic. I thought I might be thrown in comic book jail after it. So I said, if I could only write one comic, what would I feel good knowing what was in it? So that was the original Spencer and Locke. And then when we got a sequel, I said, oh, well, there's all these other cool things that I want to riff on. So we get some cool riffs on Spider-Man, on Dark Knight Returns, and these were all. It was straight up me being like, okay, here's some reference art. This is what I want to do, because yeah, it's so much. It's a love letter, really, to the comics that kind of made us who we are, and made us into the kind of creators we are. And so, and it's great seeing the way that Jorge takes a riff on things. It's great to see the way that our variant artists, Mon House and Joe Mulvey, take a crack on things. Mulvey in particular has a variant cover for issue 3 that I've been dying to do for about 2 years. It's a riff on a very famous Batman cover.
Okay.
I
gotta go see what it is. I've got the trade. I'm pretty sure they're all in there, so I got it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And yeah, it's just, it's a way to keep the series evolving. I feel like I don't want to keep readers on the hook any longer than they have to be. So it's up to me and our team to justify why we've come back. And so being able to sort of say there's a much larger universe for these characters to inhabit and explore, it gives the series its own unique flavor while still remaining true to the spirit and tone of the original.
So there, and it's not really a spoiler, but I have to ask this. There is one panel in the hospital.
Yeah.
There's a panda in the corner. Can I ask about what the hell the panda is?
You know what? Actually, I will say that's all on Jorge. That he throws in little Easter eggs. So actually, I don't have an answer to that question. I should ask him. But
I've read this through. I've been sitting on this, asking me I want to know what the panda is, because it is out of nowhere. It doesn't have anything to do with the story. It's just a panda looking around the corner at a fight.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I feel like Jorge loves to throw in little Easter eggs. I assume it's because it's a children's hospital, but yes. Jorge, he throws in all sorts of fun stuff. It's very funny.
Yeah, I love it. It's also interesting is it's kind of like there's a little political in this one. I'm trying to think of the movie that it reminded me of, but it reminds me of a film, and I can't think of what it is.
Yeah, there's definitely there's definitely some
City or something like that. I can't.
Yeah, a little Manchurian Candidate, a little bit of Born on the 4th of July. So I wrote Spencer and Locke too. The original Spencer and Locke was announced shortly before the 2016 presidential election. And so I wrote Spencer and Locke 2 in the first 6 months of the Trump presidency. And I was pissed off. I thought that, I was going to write about Roach Riley regardless of sort of, that was already long in the plans. But that kind of anger, you can feel it in the work a little bit, I think. It's interesting kind of seeing, especially as a writer, it takes so much longer for the book to get made after you've written it. I finished writing Spencer and Locke 2 the previous Thanksgiving. So it's been a long time coming. So it's interesting to me to reread it as almost like a time capsule of where my head was at when I was writing it. And I think the idea of terrorism, that's something that's been in pop culture for a long time, and it's something that I wanted to see two street level cops go up against. But at the same time, the idea of terrorism has changed since the early 2000s. You see somebody with a gun, it's more likely a white guy. And so the idea of having sort of this former military figure who's just kind of gone AWOL, and he's using his advanced training and his advanced hardware to kind of wreak havoc based on his own sort of nihilistic philosophy, that's something that, it's unfortunately we sort of kind of caught up to the zeitgeist with this. But I think it's something that, it makes Roach as a character feel a little bit more real, I think.
So before we get to going in the chapel, is there anything you couldn't do in Spencer and Locke? I mean, it's a lot of riffs, it's a lot of homage, stuff like that. Is there anything that you sit there and then someone came back and like, I want to do that? Or
Not at all. For me, the only things that I've ever had to hold back on are just, does this fit organically into the story? Right. For example, I really wanted to do something with Calvin's killer bicycle in our first arc. Couldn't fit it in. I wanted to do it in our car chase, just didn't fit the choreography. I've corrected that in Volume 2. I won't say how. But there were certain things that were on the cutting room floor that I was like, okay, I'm desperate. We got to fit this in for Volume 2. But I will say, we're still leaving some things in the back pocket. I want a Volume 3.
I was about to say, Volume 3, it's wide open, and if Volume 3 is what I think it is.
I want a Volume 3 badly, and I've got some, all I'll say is I've saved some very big strips. I'm really excited. Action Lab has said as long as our sales are strong for Volume 2, they'd be open to a Volume 3. And I guarantee readers of fans of the first volume, they're going to want a Volume 3.
You're going to want Volume 3, trust me. All right, so going to the chapel.
Yeah.
Going to the chapel. So this one I would describe as your Tarantino. This is your Tarantino, or like Rodriguez type of thing.
That's a great compliment. I really appreciate that. I've taken to describing Chapel as it's Die Hard meets Wedding Crashers. It's about a conflicted bride who she's grappling with a case of serious cold feet. But before she can say anything, her wedding is taken over by a gang of Elvis-themed bank robbers who think that robbing weddings might be easier than robbing banks. They're all going to find out how wrong they are. They're going to find out that love is the ultimate hostage situation. I feel like rom-coms get a bad rap in popular culture, and especially in the direct market of comics. Yeah. I think a lot of guys in particular say, well, I'm not going to watch that. It's a rom-com. It's just for women. And I feel like a lot of my favorite movies are romantic. It's things like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, About Time, 500 Days of Summer. I think romantic comedies as a genre have just as much flexibility as crime or sci-fi. And so I wanted to try something with that in the direct market. I wanted a rom-com that I thought both men and women would enjoy. For my books, I'm always trying to sort of build a wider consensus. I want to bring more people to the table. And so I thought Chapel would be a great book. And it's a very human story, just about faith and about commitment and what does it take to say till death do you part. It's a big commitment. And there's a lot of, sort of family dysfunction. I say it's like if the Bluth family was caught in a bank robbery. And so it's a little bit of everything. And it's such a fun, wild book. Working with Gavin Guidry, who's a terrific artist. He's kind of like a cross between like Doc Shanner and Jamie McKelvey.
Yeah, the art style is really cool.
Yeah, and he is a beast. He draws so fast, it's frightening. I'm working with Liz Kramer, who's a brand new colorist to the direct market as well. She's going to be the next Laura Martin. She is just freakishly talented. She's so good. She's actually rounding the bases, finishing the last issue now. And then working with veteran letterer Ariana Maher. She's been wonderful to work with. She really kind of helps sells all the one-liners that I throw into the book. And then we've got a murderer's row of cover artists. I can't reveal all of them just yet, but in addition to Gavin, doing a line of covers, Mon House is joining us from Spencer and Locke. He's doing a series of covers, and then we're going to have a murderer's row of talent, including Lisa Sturl, doing main covers for the book. So it's really exciting. I've got some really cool covers in my inbox that I can't show just yet, but it's very exciting. This
is one I kind of want to ask questions on, but I feel like any questions are going to spoil it. All I can say, it is straight up. It's a Tarantino like robbery. If you like that sort of thing, it's set during a wedding, you're gonna dig it. Like I really. So I think I don't want to spoil it. I just want to tease it. When can we find it on the shelves? We'll do that.
It'll be in stores this September. It'll be September through December, 4-issue arc, and then our trade paperback, I just confirmed it with Action Lab. It's going to be dropping Valentine's Day week. So you can give that as a gift for your loved ones.
So say nothing says romance like armed robbery.
Yep.
Yeah, so is there anything else you can tease, talk about? Like, Spencer Locke 2 is awesome. Read the whole thing. The first issue's out Wednesday, and the whole thing is great.
Yeah.
Someone hooked me up to be able to read the whole thing. I like to go in knowing what I'm talking about. Going to Chapel is sweet. It's really good.
Thank you. And you know, I owe it to to friends in the press who have been really supportive of our books and the readers. I mean, honestly, I feel like the little indie that could, and word of mouth has really been the success of Spencer and Locke. I think just based on early reception to Chapel, I can't keep this thing on my table. I'm hoping if we get a volume 3, we might be able to even mass produce some of these guys.
I want it.
And I've got some more pitches that are sort of they're coming to fruition right now. I'm hard at work on my book Grand Theft Astro, which Top Cow announced last year. We're about halfway through the scripting phase on it right now. Jordy, my artist, Jordy Perez, he is working on Queen of Bad Dreams, which just came out last week at Vault. So he's been busy and I've been busy. So we're circling back to it now. It's sort of Back to the Future meets Fast and the Furious in space. Really happy with how the series has been turning out so far. It's different than Spencer and Locke, and it's different than Chapel, but it's still kind of got that cool, action-oriented kind of snappiness to it. And then I got a few other things that are in development.
Got some stuff in development.
There's a long string of pitches that are finding homes and finding artists and are coming together, and I'm really excited for the rest of the world.
We've had these conversations of the things I'm not allowed to talk about. This is the thing that sucks about being press. You're not allowed to talk about really cool stuff. So yeah, that's it. Appreciate you talking.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Always a good time, man.
Oh, always. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.